Hello, everyone. My name is Harjak Guy, and thanks for joining our session. I'm from Delbridge Solutions, and I'll be joined with Stacy Langley from Eastlink, who's the Director of FP&A. And in today's session, we're going to share how Eastlink modernized their budgeting solution using CCS Genetic and help from Delbridge Solutions in the implementation. Stacy, perhaps you can introduce yourselves first.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stacy Langley, chartered accountant, CPA here in Canada, and I've been part of the Eastlink team for just a couple of days, over 19 years now, and I've been in the role of the Director of FP&A for approximately 10 years now. My team is responsible for all of the planning, budgeting, forecasting items here at Eastlink.
Great. Stacey, congratulations on your anniversary. It's a very long time at one organization. It's very good. Thanks for sharing with us. Good. And hi, everyone. My name is Harjak Guy. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of Delbridge. Delbridge has been a CCH Genetic partner for almost 8 years now. We've implemented 70 plus projects across North America for CCH Genetic as an implementation partner. I've got about 15 years of experience in the corporate performance management space, implementing solutions for budgeting, forecasting, reporting, and consolidations. Prior to co-founding Delbridge, I used to work at IBM and another company called Clarity Systems, which was acquired by IBM as well. And my role really at Delbridge Solutions is to making sure that our clients are successful for their implementations, making sure that they're getting the most return on investment of their application that we're implementing, and also working very closely with our partners as well. So I'll share a little bit about Delbridge Solutions for the folks who don't know who we are. This company was founded by myself and my business partners in 2011. As mentioned, I used to work at IBM managing Cognos implementations. And prior to that, I was managing budgeting, forecasting, reporting solutions at a company called Clarity Systems. And I managed the professional services team in the Eastern region there as well. We're a privately held company. We've got offices in Canada, the US, and Europe. We're about 75 to 80 employees now full-time working at Delbridge Solutions. From a customer base perspective, we've got over 300 clients across multiple verticals, financial services, government, higher ed, just to name a few. For each of our implementations, we always try to align consultants who have expertise in the business domain in that industry before we align them to projects. So when you work with Delbridge, for example, if you're in financial services, you would get consultants who have expertise within that domain. We always like to make sure that we share best practices and how other companies in your similar industry are implementing. So this way, you get the most best practices implemented in your application. We have partnerships with the leading CPM solutions and BI solutions in the market. We are a partner, obviously, with CCS Genetic, but we do specialize in other solutions like Vena, Adaptive Insights, IBM, Profix, to name a few. We are platform agnostic, and we have consultants who specialize in each of these platforms, and we resell and implement each of these solutions that you see. And lastly, for CCS Genetic, we've implemented over 70 projects. So we have a proven methodology to ensuring that our clients are successful, all the way from requirements gathering to production support. Stacey, I'll pass it over to you. Perhaps you can share with us a little bit more about Eastlink.
Yeah, so we are the largest of the smaller, well, we're not small, telecommunications company here in Canada. We are privately owned, and that makes us quite different from the other larger telecommunications in the country. Sorry. Our company was founded back in 1971 by John Bragg. He would be the Blueberry King here in Canada. Yeah, so Eastlink, we're celebrating 50 years this year. So it's another big milestone for us. We are telco, as I said, so cable, internet, phone, home security, and mobile. And we have operations across Canada in 8 different provinces, I want to say. And then also we have some business down in Bermuda.
So great. Thanks, Stacey, for sharing. I guess, one of the topics that we want to discuss is, what were the reasons why you look for a new solution, right? You implemented CCS Genetic, but what was the reason that you migrated from the existing solution you had prior?
Well, there were a few reasons. One, we were on Clarity, which Harjad helped us with in the way back in the day. When we went to Clarity, we needed to get off of Excel just from the size of the work that we were doing. And we had Clarity, I want to say 5 or 6 years. We went through the acquisition by IBM as well. And Clarity was basically sunset. And we outgrew it. We were doing everything we could with Clarity. The support had ended. And when the support ended, we were relying on Delbridge to help us keep it together. But we knew we needed to move. We couldn't expand it anymore. We couldn't bring in more things. And it didn't seem like it at the time until we started looking for a new solution that it was quite slow compared to the new guys on the block, I should say. So we wanted to do more. And so we knew it was time for a new solution.
Yeah, interesting enough, there are some clients who are still using Clarity. It's an outdated product that's not necessarily being supported by the vendors going forward. So yeah, it's interesting that some clients are still using it. So thanks for sharing that, Stacy. And then with regards to the decision-making process, you knew you needed a new solution. You started looking in the market, but if you can share with us, the decision-making process and how you got the CCS Genetic.
So I think I'm going to skip on our slide here, Harjot, and say why we went to Delbridge first. So we chose Delbridge to help us because you guys knew us. You knew us so well. We'd already had a relationship with Clarity. Your team knew how we like to do things, and we like to do things a little different than others. I bet you could probably attest to that. And we wanted, honestly, one of the big parts was that Harjot and his team have always been very honest with us on from best practice to what we need, to what we didn't need, to what we could do and what, really just we couldn't do with Clarity. So I found the relationship with Delbridge, the honesty with his team in saying, yes, you want to do this with Clarity, but you're just wasting your money because you need to move to a new system. And, that honesty and relationship and knowing that you have somebody who's got your back was key. It's just great to be working with you guys.
Thanks. So I appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Our decision-making process was really, we went through a list. You guys brought us a list of the different vendors that were out there, the different solutions, because you knew us. You knew who maybe wouldn't have the processing power or whatever that we needed, and who maybe would have been, too big of a program for us on the other side. And so we went through, and I believe we started with 5 and then got down to 3. We had demos and proof of concepts done with all of the companies, and Delbridge was there with us the whole time, watching all of the different demos and listening to the questions that we had, and trying to figure out exactly which solution was going to be the best for us. And we have some pretty complex things that we like to have the system do for us. And, we were making sure, and you guys were making sure right along with us, that the new solution was going to be what we needed.
That's great. I mean, I know, through the whole process, I was personally involved with you guys with the vendor selection process. It was very, intensive, and it was very thorough. Not everybody does proof of concepts, but I think with the process that we went through, going from 5 to 3 and ultimately going to CCS Genetic, we did our due diligence, and I think, that's the reason why you guys had so much success with implementing CCS Genetic. So in terms of, going through the process and working with Delbridge to actually identifying a solution and ultimately choosing CCS Genetic, if you can share why you guys chose CCS Genetic.
We wanted we wanted a solution that would allow us to expand the amount of information that we had within the system. As well, we wanted to create something that would, or implement something that would allow us to do much faster switching and reporting, better, great reporting capabilities. That was one of the things we absolutely loved about Clarity, was how well the reporting worked. So we didn't want to lose that. And we really liked what Genetic had to offer. The multiple hierarchies was something that was absolutely fantastic for us, basically because we can do reporting one way for the CRTC and our regulatory, and just very quickly flip over and do the reporting that we need for the ownership. The speed, the speed of the processing within CCH Genetic is amazing as well. Clarity was very a web-based interface for the team, and way back in the day, we said we need to get away from Excel. But when you're working with a team of accountants, they love Excel. Accountants love Excel. You can't take it away from them. So seeing that CCH Genetic allowed us to work in Excel while actually being within the system, just the team, they're loving the Excel interface. So.
Yeah. That's a very key point, actually. A lot of platforms in the market right now are either only web-based, so it looks like Excel, but you're on the web. The formulas are different, or it's proprietary language that you have to use. And then there's some applications that are only in Excel, right? And everything's in Excel. I think one of the benefits that CCS Genetic has is that it does have the dual interfaces. You can access your templates, data entry forms, templates, and reports in Excel. But you can also access those same forms and reports in the web as well, right? So which is very important, I think, for customers. So thanks for sharing that, Stacey. And that now you've implemented CCS Genetic, it'd be great if you can share with us some of the business benefits that you've gained.
Speed is one of the biggest for us. We used to have processes that we would kick off overnight so that we weren't interrupting things, and then hope when we came in the morning that it had worked. With CCH Genetic, now we can run those same processes while the team is working, and they see no interruption in speed or anything, and we can get it done in an hour or less, with the ability to create some of the allocation accounts and everything else within the system. The accounting team themselves has found it. We've probably saved a good full day on month-end close, either through them not having to work overtime, or the processes within Genetic being able to just do it for us. The addition of all this information, especially non-financial information that leads to really great analytics, has helped us improve so much. We started with just having customers in the system and doing the analysis just on customer, but we've expanded that well beyond to say what sales channels sold, different KPIs for our call center as well. And so we've been able to bring all that information in. The other part of it is that we're no longer going to 3 or 4 different sources in order to do the month-end analysis or the forecast analysis, budgets. We can pull that with all the different information is there within Genetic for us, and we have one source of truth. The other part of it is that we've been able to allow some of the other teams, like the sales teams, the marketing teams, into some of this information, not necessarily all the financial information, but the non-financial as well. And it is so much faster to be able to have one source that can give you all the same numbers that everybody else within the company is looking at, as opposed to going to different systems and hoping that you chose the right things to pull up. So Genetic has increased not only the accounting and the financial and the reporting from, you know, a numbers side, but it's also helped us with non-financial as well.
That's great. Stacey, one thing if you can comment on, you know, I noticed, you know, you put ease of use for non-financial groups and that's probably end users, but I know during the implementation and even now that you're live, you know, your internal resources or your power users are building a lot of the reports, managing the data load processes and the hierarchies. If you can share with us the experience on the actual maintenance of the application from the power user perspective, and how has that been?
So it's basically myself and one other person on my team that does the administration for CCH Genetic. We are actually on-prem, which requires that we do a load, and CCH Genetic is amazing. Now we tell them, hey, we're ready to do the upgrade, and they log on with us, and away we go. Very simple. The report writing, we're able to build our own ETLs and uploads and everything. We started with a base that Harjot and team had built for us and showed us, you know, this is the simplified. We had also done an initial reporting session with CCH Genetic's training team. And so we found that it's very easy for us to build a new report. We can build it and like issue it within 10 minutes at the most, especially if we have a report that already exists that we're just, you know, copying and changing a few things. The way that you build reports within Genetic is really it's really great. Like it makes it fairly easy to understand and to build and take once you've had a little bit of training, and it doesn't take a lot of training to do. So
no, I agree. I think with the platforms that we work with, you know, I think it's you know, any product you have to put in an investment in training, right, regardless of the product. But I find that, you know, if you have gone through the training and you have been involved hands-on in the implementation, it makes it much more easier for you to maintain the application going forward and build your own, you know, data models, reports, data entry templates within CCS Genetic as well. I know we still help eastlink, you know, periodically if it's something more complicated. We're here to support you, but it's great that you're able to do a lot of the, you know, the heavy lifting yourself and maintaining the application going forward as well.
That's great. One of the other things that we really like about CCH Genetic and Delbridge is that the support is fantastic. Like we don't have to wait days to get a response from CCH Genetic, where we've had experienced that in the past when Clarity was purchased. And you know, I always feel that the Delbridge team, if I pick up the phone, you guys are there. Like you're always there for us. So
I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words. I agree with you on the same side. On the Genetic side, definitely the support team on the product side of Genetic is very, very good as well, very responsive. So that's one of the benefits of working, you know, with CCS Genetic. Thanks for sharing that, Stacey.
No problem.
So, you know, one of the, you know, last slides we have is I wanted to share some key tips for an implementation. I know in this session, there's probably clients who are about to start a new phase or prospects that are, you know, looking at CCS Genetic. So I did want to share with you some key tips for an implementation, right? So the very first thing we always recommend to our clients is, reviewing your business process for any improvements prior to implementing any CPM solution. What you don't want to do is, if you're using Excel as an example as your CPM solution for budgeting, forecasting, reporting, if there is any inefficiencies that you have in an Excel-based process, you're going to have the same issues regardless of what CPM solution you implement. So we always tell our clients and prospects to, review your existing business process. We can help with, any sort of business process re-engineering that you may have to do in your process before we implement the solution. Another key tip is that leaving buffer time for, unforeseen events for the implementation. A lot of times we'll have a project plan. It might take 2 months, 3 months, 4 months to implement the solution, but we always recommend to leave buffer time. There's times where maybe there's turnover, or maybe there's something's changed in the economy and you have to put the project on hold or delay. So always leave buffer time to make sure that you can get the system live before your budgeting or forecasting process starts, right? As we talked to Stacy about the power user training, we always recommend that you invest in that power user training early in the implementation. The benefit there is that when we talk about requirements, or we talk about, building templates and reports and assigning those tasks in the project plan, if your power users are trained early in the implementation, they can help with some of the tasks in the implementation. So whether it's data load or building a data model or building reports and data entry templates, if they're trained early, they can help with those tasks. And if they help with those tasks, we find our clients become much more self-sufficient and require less consulting as they go into production. We also like to recommend to our clients, to document the key business requirements up front. It's sometimes you don't know what you don't know, but we always recommend at least documenting the key business requirements. What are the must-haves as opposed to the nice-to-haves? And, if you forget to add something in your requirements documentation, we can always address that through change controls or change management in the implementation, but always make sure that your must-haves are documented first as opposed to your nice-to-haves. Your nice-to-haves you can always document later on or make that a second priority, right? Communication is also key. So having good project governance as part of the implementation is important. We recommend at least having a status meeting at least once a week, maybe more during the UAT cycle, but having that constant communication with your implementation team and stakeholders is very important to make sure that any issues or risks that have been identified can be discussed as a team. And this way you also get transparency with regards to the budget, timelines, and scope as well, right? Customizations, Genetic is very flexible. CCS Genetic can pretty much build anything. It's a platform, but we always recommend try to use as much of the out-of-box functionality as possible. This is important because if you use more of the out-of-the-box functionality that CCS Genetic has or any CPM solution has, you're going to write less code, you're going to require less consulting, and more importantly, when you do upgrades of the product, things are not going to break. When you customize, there's a possibility that, when there's a new release of a solution or product, those things will break. So we always recommend try to do as much out of the box functionality and use that where possible. And during the requirements gathering session and during the initial, implementation, we always like to recommend that our clients talk about their roadmap and strategy and share that with us as well. The reason is maybe you're just implementing budgeting for phase 1, but maybe you want to do consolidations for phase 2 next year. It's important for us to understand your roadmap and strategy, because then this way, when we design the solution, even for budgeting for phase 1, we'll try to design it in a way where, there's less impact that you have going forward. And when you implement the phase 2, there's less rework or no rework required if you know upfront what your roadmap and strategy is as well, right? So we don't like to reinvent the wheel. We like to build the solution so it's scalable and can handle additional requirements in the future. So it's important for you to share your roadmap and strategy with the implementation team. And lastly, this is key as well, is, we like to have quick wins. Don't try to do everything at once. Implement your roadmap and strategy in CCS Genetic in small, quick wins. This way you get better, feedback from your end users, quicker feedback from your end users. You get better adoption from your end users. And as you learn the product and solution, you can implement some of those future roadmap items yourself as well. So we always like to go for quick wins in our implementations with our clients as well. So everybody, thank you for joining our session with Stacy and myself. We hope you found this very useful, and we hope that some of the key tips that we shared, as well as the journey that Eastlink had with CCS Genetic, helps you in your implementations as well. So thank you all for joining our session, and we look forward, hopefully next year, to seeing you all in person. Thank you.
Thanks, Arjot.
Thanks, Stacey.